Hi everyone, welcome to yet another video tutorial on Python programming by Simplilearn. In our previous video, we learned about list comprehension. In this video, we will understand how does string formatting in Python work. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the Simplilearn channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. So what is string formatting in Python? Formatting a string is something you will do all the time when you're coding in Python. String formatting, also known as string interpolation, is the process of inserting a custom string or variable in predefined text. The string formatting methods format the given string into a more precise output in Python. So it is the process of infusing things in the string dynamically and presenting the string. Now let's look at the different types of string formatting in Python. First one we have is using the modulo operator. So Python uses C formatting style string formatting to create new formatted strings. Python does that with the help of the modulo or the percentage sign. This is the old way of formatting strings. This approach was more often used in Python 2. So let's head out to a Jupyter Notebook and see how this works. So this is my Jupyter Notebook that I'm going to use for our demo. So let's start with our first example, that is formatting a string using the modulo operator. First I'll create a variable called name. Let's see, the name is Sean, and I have another variable which has the age of Sean, let's say 32. Now I can create a variable called string equal to, I'll say hi, then use the modulo operator followed by s, and I'll give an exclamation mark, give a space, I'll say percentage name, and then let's print the string. If I run this, we have the output hi Sean. So what I did here was, we have defined the variables that we want to format into the strings. Then we have created the string with the placeholders for the variables. So this is a placeholder. Now the percentage s format specified here tells Python to substitute the value of the name. So hence we have hi Sean printed. Now let's see another example. This time I'll directly use a print statement. I'll say I like to, then I'll say percentage s or modulo s chocolate ice creams. I'll give a full stop, and then using my modulo operator I'll pass in my value, that is eat. So here percentage s will be replaced by the value eat. Now if I run this, you have the message here, I like to eat chocolate ice creams. Now you can also add multiple strings at a time, and you can use variables to insert objects in the string. Let's see one more example. I'll say string equal to, say percentage s is, I'll say percentage d years old. Then I'll give a percentage symbol and say name comma age, and let's print the string. If I run this, you see here above we had defined the variables name and age to be Sean and 32. So here percentage s is for name, so Sean is, percentage d is for age, so Sean is 32 years old. So in this example, percentage d format specifier tells Python where to substitute the value for age, and it is represented as a string. So percentage s is used to inject strings. Similarly, percentage d is used to inject integers. So here 32 is an integer, and you can also use percentage f for floating point values, and you can also use percentage b for binary format. Alright, now let's see another example. Let's say I have a variable called x which has a value dance. I'll say print Nancy can, I'll say percentage s and percentage s2. After this we'll specify the parameters, let's say x and sing. If I run this, you have the output Nancy can. So here percentage s is for x, which means dance, so Nancy can dance, and percentage s is for the second parameter which is sing. So my result becomes Nancy can dance and sing too. Now similarly, we can have another example using %f. Let's say I'll say print the value of E is. Now I'll specify my format, which is going to be, let's say, %5.2f, close the quotation, and then I'll pass in my value for E, let's say 24553 dot, I'm just taking random floating values, 718281. Now if I run this, you see the result. My value for E is 24553.72. Now let me tell you what 5.2f means. So here 5 would be the minimum number of digits to be present in the string. These might be padded with white spaces if the whole number doesn't have this many digits. And here 2f represents how many digits are to be displayed after the decimal point. So after the decimal point we wanted only 2 digits, so we have rounded it up and the value is 72. Alright, so coming to the next type of string formatting in Python, we have formatting with the format string method. So Python string dot format method was introduced in version 2.6. Now there are two ways to do it. One is using positional arguments and the other is using keyword arguments. So let's head over to our Jupyter Notebook and we'll explore a few examples on this. Before that, let me just give a few comments. So the first one we saw was using modulo operator. Now the second one is not an operator. This time we are going to use the format method. Cool.
If getting your learning started is half the battle, what if you could do that for free? Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
So under format method, we'll use empty placeholder and replace them with a string value. So I'll write a print statement. Let's say my message is welcome to. Now I'm creating one placeholder which is empty, you can see here, and let's say after that I have tutorials. I'll give a full stop and then we are going to use the format method, and inside the format method we are going to pass in the value, let's say Simplilearn. So this Simplilearn value will be substituted in this empty placeholder. Let's run it. You can see the result. We have welcome to Simplilearn Python tutorial. So this empty placeholder was replaced with a string value, that is Simplilearn. Cool. Now moving to the next example. So we'll be using index or positional arguments inside the placeholder. Let me create a variable called s1 and I'll type in a message. Let's say my message is I'm using my first placeholder and I'm giving a position or an index. Now in Python you must be aware that the index starts from 0. So I've used curly braces and passed in 0. I'll create another placeholder and this time I'll put index as 1. Let's say my message continues like this with Simplilearn, and then we'll use the format method and we'll pass in the values for these two placeholders. This should be width. Let's say my value for the 0th index is learn and my value for the first index is upskill. I'll go ahead and print s1 and you can see the output. Let's learn and upskill with Simplilearn. So here the 0th and the first index were replaced by learn and upskill respectively. So this is how you can use index or positional arguments inside the placeholders. Now you can also add index numbers into the placeholders to reorder values. Now this will affect the order in which the method replaces the placeholders. Let me show you. So I'll create a print statement. So let me create my first empty placeholder and then I'll continue with my message. Let's say called. Then I'll have my second placeholder and I'll continue with my message to inform that. Then I'll have my third placeholder will be absent. Okay, now let's use the dot format method and we'll have the values for all the three placeholders. Let's say my first value is Luke, my second value is Dinah, and my third value is John. Now if I print, okay, there is some error here. Okay, there has to be another bracket here. Now if I run it, you can see the message here. So the first placeholder was for Luke, so Luke called Dinah, which is my second value, to inform that my third placeholder's value, that John, will be absent. Cool. Now you can add index numbers into the placeholders to reorder the values. Now let me show you how to do it. I'll just copy this message and I'll print it here, and here I can now pass in my index values. Let's say I'll add 2, 0 and 1. So here Luke is for 0, Dinah is for 1 and John is for the second index value. Now if I run it, now you can see the difference in my message. So here first 2 comes, which means John called the value at 0th index, which is Luke. So John called Luke to inform that Dinah will be absent. Alright. Now let's see one more example. This time we'll be using name or keyword arguments inside the placeholder. In the earlier examples we saw how to use positional arguments or index. This time we are going to use name or keyword arguments inside the placeholders. So I'll create another variable called s2 and I'll have my message, let's say V. In my first placeholder I'll have the keyword as A, then I'll have my keyword as B, my message will continue. I'll have my third placeholder as C with Simplilearn, and then we'll use the format method, and then I'm going to pass in my keyword arguments. So here we have to assign the value for A, B and C. So let's say the value of A is learn, for B let's say it is upskill, and for C let's say the value is grow. Now we need to print s2. If I run it, you see the message here. We have V learn, upskill and grow with Simplilearn. Let's say we'll replace V with let's, so the message is more appropriate. So now you can see let's learn, upskill and grow with Simplilearn. So this is how you can use keyword or name arguments inside placeholders in the format method. Cool. Now let's look at the third method. We have formatting with string literals called f-strings. So strings in Python are usually enclosed within double quotes or single quotes. To create f-strings, you only need to add an f before the opening quotes of our string. So this type of formatting is also called as a formatted string literal. Now when you use f-strings, you need to display variables. So for that you need to specify the names of the variables inside a set of curly braces, and at runtime all variable names will be replaced with their respective values. So let's go to our Jupyter Notebook and we'll see a few examples. Alright, now let me give a comment as f strings. Okay, so let's see our first example under f strings type. So I'll say tutorial equal to Python, then I'll have another variable called subject which has the value programming. Next we have place equal to Simplilearn, and then I'm going to use a print statement, and then I'll use my f keyword for f strings, and I'll say my message as let's learn. Then using curly braces, I'll pass in my variable name that I have defined here. First is tutorial, then we have subject, from, then I'll have the place. Let's give a full stop and we'll close the double quotes and let's run it. So here you can see we have our message, let's learn Python programming from Simplilearn. So here tutorial and subject were replaced by Python and programming because we have defined tutorial as Python and subject as programming, and place we have a Simplilearn, and hence my message is let's learn Python programming from Simplilearn. So this is how you can use f strings. So when using f strings to display variables, you only need to specify the names of the variables inside a set of curly braces. Now you can also evaluate expressions with Python f strings. Let's see a simple multiplication. I'll create a variable called n1 which has a value of 60. Let's say n2 has a value of 12, and I'll use my print statement. I'll give my f keyword for f strings. I'll say the product of, then I'll create my placeholders n1 and next placeholder is n2 is, and then using curly braces I'll do a multiplication operation, that is n1 multiplied by n2. I'll close my double quotes. Let's run it. So you can see here the product of 60 and 12 is 720. Let's say I'll make it 10 and 40. If I run it, the product is 400. Cool. Now you can also use f strings in conditional statements. So you can use conditionals in Python f strings. Let's see an example. I'll create a variable called num which will have a value, let's say 55. Then I'm going to use a print statement and use my f letter, and then I'll pass in my message is number even, give a question mark. Then using curly braces I'll have my placeholder as true if num modulo 2 equal to 0, else display false. I close my double quotes. Now let's print it. You see here is number even, the output is false because 55 is not even. Let's say I'll make it 50, and if I run it, is number even, the value is true because 50 is divisible by 2 and hence it is even. Alright. Now coming to the final type of string formatting in Python, we have formatting with string template class. Now template strings are provided as a class within the string module of the Python library. It is imported as a module and the dot substitute method is used to replace the placeholders. Now the format uses placeholder names formed by the dollar symbol with valid Python identifiers. Let's go to our Jupyter Notebook and we'll see two examples on this. Alright, so this is the final section of our demo. Let me give my comment as template string. Okay, so first and foremost we need to import the template module. So I'll say from string import template. Now let me first run it. I'll create two variables. The first variable is a1 which has a value of Python. The next variable is a2. Let's say the value is Simplilearn. Then I'll create another variable called n which will have my template function, and inside the function we'll pass in our message. Let's say hello, welcome to. Now I'll use my dollar sign and say, let's say n1 programming. So this is my template that I'm creating. By, again I'll say dollar n2, give a full stop. Now I'll say print n dot, we are going to use the substitute method. So I'll say substitute n1 equal to a1. So here I'm going to replace n1 with the value of a1, and then I'll say replace n2 with a2. Alright, let's run it and we'll see the result. There you go. So here my output becomes hello, welcome to. Now n1 we have replaced with a1, so hello, welcome to Python programming by n2. Now n2 we have referred to a2, so it becomes Simplilearn. So hello, welcome to Python programming by Simplilearn. Now let's see our last demo. Again, this is on template strings. So I'll create a variable called stu_name, which essentially stands for student name. Let's say the name of the student is Johnson. Then I'll create a variable called s, and I'll use the template function or the method. I'll say hey, using the $, I'll say name, how are you, followed by a question mark. I'll say s dot substitute. I want to substitute this $name with stu_name, which has Johnson. Now if I print it, you can see the message here, hey Johnson, how are you? Great. So that brings us to the end of our demo session on string formatting in Python. So we have a Python quiz for you. Which string formatting is the best in Python? So please let us know your answers in the comment section below. And thank you all for watching this video tutorial on string formatting in Python. I hope it was useful and interesting. If you have any queries, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Thanks again, stay safe and keep learning.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.